My name is Ren Beland. I live in Chicago, Illinois. I'm the events coordinator for CAKE, Chicago Alternative Comics Expo. I've been making zines and been a part of the zine scene here in Chicago since I moved here 5 years ago.
Awesome. So my name is Will Arnold. I'm in Champaign, Illinois. I work at the School of Art and Design. I help manage like the student facilities. And yeah, I guess I've been making zines and stuff seriously as one makes zines for about the same amount of time, probably about 5 or 6 years. And right around the time that I started getting into risograph printing, and that kind of coupled with zine making in a really good way. And yeah, one of the very first show I ever did was down in St. Louis, like zine show that totally like blew my mind open of that whole community. And then the next year, and I think it was in 2015, went to CAKE for the first time, and was just like, it absolutely just blew my mind wide open, and I spent every dollar that I had, and it was amazing. And yeah, I love going to CAKE every single year. I've never tabled there, but we go up there and just spend all of our money on everything every year. So yeah, that Chicago has a really great scene between Chicago Zine Fest and CAKE, and now the Chicago Art Book Fair the last couple of years, and yeah, lots of good stuff up there.
Well, that leads me into my first never have I ever prompt. Never have I ever tabled at a zine show outside of the US.
Yeah, no. I have not done that. No. Yeah, no, I've been to shows all over the Midwest here in St. Louis, Chicago, Indianapolis, gone out east a little bit to Maryland and Philadelphia, but never anything too far, never anything I couldn't drive to.
I'm jealous because everyone's done TCAF, and I feel like the only person in my friend group that's never done TCAF.
Yeah, I hear it's a really great show. I haven't been up to that either, but yeah, I know a lot of people who do that, and everyone seems to rave about it.
Yeah. Do you have a next never have I ever?
Gosh, all the never have I evers that I think of are like things that I've done, and then that's like defeating the whole purpose of it. But gosh, oh, I don't know. Why don't you go again?
I've categorized mine into like things I wish I could do. So these are all like aspirationals. Never have I ever had a solo show.
Well, not of zines. I've done some photography shows before, but I've never done anything with like my zines. My background was in photo. That's what brought me out to the Midwest, was coming to grad school at the U of I here. So I don't know. I guess that counts as one, but it's not really about my zines, so maybe not. I don't know.
We can let it count. If you had a solo show, we can let it count.
Yeah, sure.
1-0.
So what, I mean, I don't know, I'm kind of just thinking, like, having the conversation as we go through these things. What kind of venues do you typically like show your work at?
Yeah, so mostly a lot of the local shows, a lot of Chicago shows. I sell a lot of work at like Quimby's and like other local artsy, boutique-y sort of things. And then of course online. Yeah. Do you have stuff at Quimby's?
I do not have anything at Quimby's. I been there a handful of times, but and love it. It's a great place, but I've never actually taken any work up there. No, yeah, we typically do shows, zine fests and art book fairs and things like that, and sell stuff online. But we haven't really done any, like consignment things or wholesale type stuff like that. But yeah, we've definitely picked up a lot of good stuff up at Quimby's. It's a good place.
Then I might have another never have I ever that maybe you have or haven't. Never have I ever sold anything internationally.
Yes, I have sold some stuff internationally. So got that one. with just like the weirdest stuff, like not, it's the magic of the internet, right? Of just
Yeah.
like random people on Instagram find you and then and buy your stuff. The first time that happened to me, I totally got ripped myself off with shipping because I had no idea how
Ooh.
expensive it was going to be to ship something to France.
Ooh. Can I ask how much it cost?
What?
The shipping? Can I ask how much the shipping ended up costing you?
It was like $15 for like a $5 zine. But it was fine. And then I figured out how to, adjust my prices and figure, and charge per, tell people that I would charge them the shipping after I shipped it and knew how much it was going to be. But
I do have a similar kind of horror story. When I first started shipping whatsoever, I had a UPS store next to my apartment. So like I was shipping through UPS, and little did I know that is like the most expensive way to ship things. So I was like spending like, 12 some bucks on these like tiny little things that I could have paid a stamp price for.
Oh gosh.
Learn that the hard way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I just, not to get into boring, technical stuff here, and maybe I'm the last one in the world to discover this, but so my partner, so I publish under the name WordPress and publication, and my partner Tate, he's down in St. Louis, and he just discovered that PayPal has a thing to print that you can print your own like US postage shipping labels. And you can do media mail and all kinds of like the US postal stuff. And it has like changed my life in like the last 2 months, that I don't have to go to the post office anymore, which is amazing now.
That's good to know. Yeah.
And yeah, you can do it all right through PayPal, and there's like no extra charges, no anything. So yeah. So pro tip for anyone watching who's shipping zines and doesn't want to leave your house.
Yeah, today I had to go to the post office and it was snowing here and I was not a happy camper.
Yeah. All right, well, just so I can steer the topic into or conversation into one of my favorite topics, I'll not do well at the game, but never have I ever approached someone's table at a zine fest explicitly because there was cat themed content on it.
Oh, I'm definitely guilty of that. Yeah. Okay. So there we go. Yeah. And I definitely, it sells. B, everyone loves it. And that's it.
Yeah, every time I think, I started doing, so when I do workshops with students at the U of I, when we do zine workshops and stuff, we always do an exchange. And so every time we do a zine exchange, I make a new cat zine, themed zine to contribute to the exchange. And so I always make like extras and have them at my table and stuff. And you definitely see a difference in like the number of people who stop and talk to you if you have something cat on your table, as opposed to nothing. So now selfishly or, sneakily, I always make sure I have some sort of cat thing that's sitting out visibly on the table, even though it has nothing to do with the content of all my other zines. It's just one random thing that has a cat on it.
No, totally. That's my stuff that always sells quickest. Because I did a cat themed zine. My partner and I traveled on for vacation one year, and I did a zine about all the cats we met, like stray cats. And that was the thing that sold out instantly. And then I regretted doing a lesser print amount because I was like, it's kind of a throwaway. It was like a fun, it was a little, and but that like sold out. I'm like, damn. All right. Never have I ever, God, I thought I had one. Never have I ever been officially published.
Yeah, I suppose not.
Anthologies don't count.
Yeah, okay. That was I had some stuff in a couple little like anthology things, but never never nothing like solo of mine. That's the beauty of self-publishing, is that you don't have to worry about that.
And frankly, it was kind of the appeal. It felt like you get to remove all the gatekeeping nature of the publishing industry. Not that I don't want to be published, hello. But but like you get to be like, yeah, here's my content. I'm gonna put it out into the world, and that's this, I don't know, the beauty of zines.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, I've definitely found too that even stepping into the zine world from having like thought about doing or having done some like gallery shows and that kind of thing, it's kind of the same thing in terms of like gatekeepers, that I feel like part of the beauty of zines, what I love about it, is just being able to experiment with things, try out new ideas, different things, and maybe no one will care and whatever, or maybe it'll be really cool, and it allows you to kind of be a little more playful, I feel like, and kind of explore new ideas, both because they're kind of inexpensive to invest in terms of production, but also because you've got no one other than yourself to say no to you.
Yeah, and they're like pretty inexpensive to purchase usually, so the demographic that can obtain them is pretty much everyone.
Yeah, for sure. I love the accessibility of it. I love the conversations I have with people sometimes at shows where they're like, they may have just stumbled in and not even realized what this was, and they're like, I didn't think of myself as someone who could like collect art, and yet here I am with all these artists and makers and creators that that I can like afford their work and buy their work. And I thought that because I wasn't rich or didn't have a fancy PhD or something, that I wasn't like capable of being an art collector. And so I love that it can be lots of people can get into it at different levels, and just there's a huge variety of stuff out there.
Oh yeah. Do you have one? Because I have one if you don't have one.
Oh yes, please do. I'm terrible at this.
We are 2 for 1, by the way. And never have I ever been handed someone's phone number while tabling.
Oh gosh. I've had a few people give me their card, but that was more professional, weren't hitting on me. Of course, I usually table with my wife.
Deters all.
Yeah, but I mean, not that would necessarily stop everybody, but I've never had the pleasure of that. No.
I was thinking of it because I hear some like horror stories. Like after events, people will post on their Twitter like, "Can you like not flirt with me while I'm trying to like sell or something?" And I'm like, man, I was thinking back, and it's like, I guess I've had people like make friendly chit chat, but never overtly hand me their number.
Yeah. Oh, that's good. Yeah. I can imagine that could be uncomfortable though.
Yeah, especially if you're like in business mode. You got your like sales pitch ready, and
there's like people on either side of you, shoulder to shoulder. You've got nowhere to escape to, and yeah. Let's see. I don't know. Sorry.
it's all right.
Not good at this game.
I have another one.
Yeah, go. Yeah.
This is a knock on wood one. Never have I ever had anything stolen from my table at a convention.
That's good. Yeah, not that I'm aware of. No, I don't think so. Yeah, I've heard. I had a friend who got, I think, her car broken into at a show a year or so ago, and like a bunch of her stuff stolen. It was really, really awful. But yeah, no major disasters like that.
Granted, like everything at my table is usually under $10, and I can bring my money purse home with me. Like, that's not staying there.
Yeah, I'm not sure what anybody's going to get out of a bunch of stolen zines.
I mean, I've heard stories. I don't know. Maybe I've just heard like the worst stories, or browsed like the worst end of Twitter. And
yeah. I don't know. I'm sorry. I can't think on the spot. Hopefully Sarah can cut off all of these awkward pauses that we're
I can do another one.
Keep going. Don't even wait for me anymore.
All right. Never have I ever made a perfect bound zine.
Perfect bound zine. I guess I'd say no. I've made a couple of perfect bound books back, like just one-off kind of things. But no. My partner Tate has. He's a serious printmaker, and he like is actually good at like making stuff. He's done some really beautiful perfect bound stuff, but no, for the most part, I'm just like fold it in half and staple it, you know, maybe some weird paper folding, but nothing too fancy.
Yeah, I tend to keep to the minis because they're like really cheap to produce, really easy to make. I took a workshop at Spudnik last year about how to do perfect bound and some stitch binding, but I've never put it into my practice. It just seemed so time consuming that I was like, I don't want to dedicate all that.
Yeah, I feel like I always too, the more I start getting like complicated ideas of things in my head for different projects, I come back to like, but I want to make a lot of these so that I can share them with a lot of people. And I want to be okay selling them cheaply. And yeah, I worry that if I start getting too in-depth with any one thing and making each object too precious or have too many hours of labor in it, that then I won't be able to kind of just distribute them far and wide. And but I do love that stuff. I did do some bookmaking when I was in grad school and like a few like artist book things. I did even just doing a simple, like I did an accordion book this year. And it's just very simple, just like a couple sheets together. And that was even just so much more labor than just folding and stapling. But I still have like half of the edition stacked in my studio that I haven't finished since like January. So
a considerable project for the winter.
Yeah, you know, I kept telling myself like, well, now that I'm home all the time, can't go anywhere. Surely I'll get all this work done, right? But
all right, I have a never have I ever that forces you to talk about what you do because I'm curious. Never have I ever managed a Riesel studio.
Okay, cool.
But it also gives you a point.
Yeah. So yeah, our studio, it's not, it's like studio light. It's essentially just my practice and Tate's practice kind of independently. But we kind of just, I don't know. Okay, so Tate was the one who introduced me to Riso. If I go back to the beginning, back in like 2013, I think he got his machine, and we were both into printmaking, and he teaches printmaking at Webster University down in St. Louis, and he called me up and was like, I got this new thing. It's like screen printing, but in a copy machine, and it's super cool, and you've got to come down and try it. And so I fell in love with that. I was, you know, like I said, I was doing photo stuff. I went down and printed a bunch of like duotone photos with the Riso and like totally in love with how it looked. And so for like a year or two, I would just go down to his house and like every 6 months or so and bring a whole stack of paper and work to do and just print like all weekend. Until I actually one weekend after being there for like 3 days in a row, printing like 16 hours a day, trying to get this book done, I like threw out my back because I'm a middle-aged dude and that's what I do. And like went home and like couldn't walk for 2 days and it was terrible. And I was like, okay, I need to get my own printer so I don't have to have these like manic, like all weekend long kind of printing sessions. So yeah, so then I got my own printer, got really lucky. I found one for super cheap at this old skating rink that was going out of business down in Kentucky. It was like $150.
Oh, damn.
And it was mostly working. I only had to like replace a few little parts and it was up and running pretty quick. And so, yeah, so then I started being able to print up here. I didn't have to like save up all my work to drive down to St. Louis. So for the most part, we just publish our own stuff, but we do both work at universities. And so we work with students there. We have a Riso at the University of Illinois now. And so I'll work with a lot of printmaking classes and graphic design classes there, doing workshops and doing the Riso with the students. And then we occasionally kind of do printing projects with other artists that we know, like I guess you'd call it commission printing because they're paying us for printing services, but I like to think of it more of as a collaborative process. And, you know, because I'm not doing this as a business, I'm able, you know, have the privilege of just being able to only work with people who I like and whose work I like. And so that makes it fun and much easier, I feel like. So I'll occasionally print for other people, but it's really only been a very small handful of people that I've worked with like that. So I don't know if you'd call it managing a studio, because this is my house. My Risa is right behind me in the other room here. This is supposed to be the master bedroom of the house, but it has become my studio.
Where'd you put the bedroom?
Well, there's another bedroom downstairs.
Okay.
It's fine. We like that one better anyway. But beautiful thing about Champaign, Illinois is houses are incredibly cheap here. So yeah, so home studio, which is very nice. And most of the time it's just me out there by myself printing. So I don't know if I have a whole lot of studio management experience, but yeah, that's what my setup's like. So, but I know you do some Riso printing as well. And so what, like, how do you do that, or where do you do that?
Fortunately, in Chicago, there's lots of access. A lot of my work is printed by Perfectly Acceptable Press, and they're out of Sputnik. I know they're currently moving. And then for a while, I was printing out of the Cards Against Humanity office, because they had a real studio / screen printing studio. So it's just a lot of connections sort of thing.
Yeah.
I didn't even know that Riso was a thing until I moved to Chicago. I went to my first cake and everyone had these beautiful books and these beautiful colors. And I was like, I want that. I need that. And just downhill from there.
Yeah, for sure. Chicago seems to be a really big hub for it. You know, I mean, obviously there's presses all over the world, but yeah, I feel like Chicago is a real hotspot for it. And yeah, I know Matt from Perfectly Acceptable. He does fantastic work. So that's awesome that you get to print with him.
Yeah, I mean, like the Sputnik studio is a beautiful space. That's, like I said, I took workshops there too. It has a lot of access for incoming artists and a lot of fellowships for incoming artists. Yeah. Really cool stuff.
Cool.
I guess on that, never have I ever taught a workshop. I'm just gonna keep giving you points.
Oh, great. Yeah, then that way we'll end the game. I won't have to sit here feeling bad about not coming up with any questions. Yes, I've taught workshops for the students here. I really love doing that. I think a lot of students have never seen or really thought about like the concept of zines, or definitely, you know, some know zines, but maybe don't know Riso. And so I just love bringing in like stacks of books from my collection and stuff, and just sharing them around with people and having people look through them, and then seeing, you know, what they all end up making. Which is why I love doing the exchanges. I've got like binders full. We always make the little like the 8-page butterfly books, you know, whatever they're called. They have the slit in the middle that fold out. And so I've got like stacks and stacks and stacks of, you know, student zines, because every time we do a workshop, everyone makes enough to trade with everybody else. And then you go home with like 20 some, you know, zines, which is awesome. And so then seeing students who like run with it and keep doing stuff afterwards, it's always really exciting. So yeah, it's been a lot of fun since we got the Riso at the school a couple years ago. I've been there since 2012, but we just got the Riso, I think, like 2 years ago, and it's been awesome just to get to share that with the students and to work with them with that.
Do you feel like a lot of the students respond really well to getting to add that to their practice?
Yeah. Well, I mean, you know, it's all, I feel like it's the same with any kind of classes, that like there's going to be your couple who like fall in love with it and keep doing it, and the couple who think it's cool and maybe do a little bit, and then a handful who are like, yeah, you know, whatever, I'm going to turn in the minimum for this project. But no, I feel like there's been a really good response, and people have been into it. I'll say it's also been it's opened me up to some of the other people doing stuff on campus in different places, like in people studying comics and other kind of things. I've done some workshops with like faculty members from other parts of campus and things like that have been really interesting as well. And seeing how people, there's a landscape architecture professor, David Hayes at the U of I, who teaches an entire class called negotiating the landscape through zines.
Oh,
Whereas students
wow.
read zines about landscape all semester, and they end up making their own and just talking about it and thinking about the form and how it relates to, you know, our concepts of landscape and things. And so I got to work with him and some of his students last fall and help them make a zine and print and things like that. And so it's cool to see people like using it in different contexts too, especially outside of my like art and design bubble.
Yeah. Yeah, because I feel like we're both pretty art and design focused, but I love when I see zines that are like political manifestos, or like I love perzines, even though I don't create them. Oh, that's a never have I ever. Never have I ever made a perzine.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, it's like everything I do is like comics and illustration. Yeah.
So speaking of that, like before, I don't know if we've completed the game or not.
I think you have like 4 points and I have like 1 point. So yeah.
So I win? I don't know. Yeah. I don't know how these things work. Do you happen to have any of your zines like with you there that you want to like show, or like what, or even just tell about like what was one of the most recent things?
Sure.
That you made?
Yeah, I can go grab one for sure.
Yeah.
Hi again. So they're both 2 Risograph zines, and both were printed by Perfectly Acceptable. My first Risograph was my French press.
Excellent.
Yeah, and it's little fold-outs, you know, and it was created for a local coffee shop here in Chicago because they wanted stocking stuffers for their customers.
Oh, that's cool.
And it was a great way to work with a local business and, you know, include zines in part of that fun. And a lot of people who were getting these had never had a zine before, knew what a zine was. So it was another, you know, way to integrate that. And my most popular zine is also a Riesel zine. And it's this little accordion comic.
Nice.
Yeah, and it's like this little animal story about being in relationships. So, yeah.
Awesome.
How about you?
Yeah. So one I just finished up, I guess just back in September, is called Ghostland. And it takes old Casper the Friendly Ghost comics, several of them from the 70s, and I scanned the pages and like removed all of the Caspers, all of the text, and basically just tried to boil it down to the landscapes. So like I said, I kind of like came from a photo background, was really interested in landscape photography, and that's kind of like spilled over into my like interest in comics that has grown since I got more into zines. So it just uses the landscapes and some very minimal bits of action that was left over from the comics to kind of collage together a new narrative, you know, using bits and images from like several different stories.
I think that's really interesting. Oh, sorry.
Oh, sorry. No, go ahead.
I was just going to comment how it's interesting that you could take practice that you start out with, like landscape and photography, and bring it into zine making, and then using the artifacts of like previously published comics to make this whole new sort of medium, pretty much. Yeah.
Yeah. It's been a fun. That's been my like. That's kind of how I got into making working with comics. Was actually did a book a long time ago, 5 or 6 years ago when I first started this, using artwork from arcade game cabinets, like the side panels and stuff.
Yeah.
And again, boiling it down just to the landscape to try to see like, what are these landscapes that that our fantasies of these video games are set in, and interested in like the fact that it's like a kind of a double fantasy, because early video games, the graphics were so, you know, primitive that they couldn't really represent much, and so they'd have artists come and paint these like really fantastic, you know, paintings for the sides of the cabinets that were themselves a fantasy of the video game, which is itself a fantasy of something else. And that got me really into like the working with that kind of old comic pop imagery. But that, yeah, was kind of my bridge over from landscape photography into that. So yeah, it's been cool. Yeah.
Do you have any plugs you want to make before we shuttle off?
Well, yeah, I guess check out all the other stuff that's going on at Small Press Fest whenever this airs. All the other videos getting posted and events and things like that. And thank you to Sarah for organizing this. And yeah, so you can get my work and Tate Foley, my partner, his work on our website, which is workpandp.com, as in work, press, and publication. So yeah, you can pick up stuff there or check out, just take a look at it, and or Instagram at WorkPress or at t.will.arnold. But at WorkPress is probably easier to remember.
You can find all of my comics, zines, stickers, illustrations, prints at aimren.com, AIMREN.com. And my little plug is Chicago Zine Club. We have a monthly zine club here in Chicago, and right now it's digital like everything else. So join a bunch of cool people and talk about zines and show off zines. Yeah.
Awesome. That sounds cool. Where did you guys meet when it was in person?
It was at Quimby's, and we had
Yeah.
snacks and everything. It was the best. The only plus now with it being digital is now it's international. We have people that tune in from all over the world, and that's a great way to expand the zine community.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Cool.
Well, it's been a pleasure talking to you.
Yeah, it was really nice to meet you, and yeah, thanks for doing this. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah,
thanks for carrying the weight of the game on your shoulders.
No problem. Talk to you again soon sometime.
All right. See ya.
See ya.